Welcome to the NFL Saturday podcast. This is Amp, and I'm here to catch you up on fantasy football for the week, and we'll have some fun along the way. However, today it is just me, no Scotty. Unfortunately, he wasn't feeling great, so we'll see him again next week. I hope he feels better, but in the meantime, we have a lot to talk about. Today, I just wanted to say that thoughts and prayers are for Damar Hamlin. Some good news recently that he has gained consciousness, and it seems like he does have cognitive ability. So that's very good news. It was a very scary situation, and we've all been thinking about him across the country. And on this podcast, it's been very, very sad news. So we both were talking a lot about it, and we just wanted to send thoughts and prayers to him and his family and everyone involved. Obviously, T. Higgins as well. I'm sure he has felt very scary over this whole situation. And overall, just want to wish him the best and everyone involved. Today, we are going to be talking about matchups for this week and essentially which matchups matter, which players will actually be playing, because some of the teams don't need to win. They're resting. They're not trying necessarily. So that's essentially what we're going to be talking about. And also some of the incentive scenarios, because some of those players will definitely be trying harder, trying to get those incentives that are realistic. So I guess we will get into the main episode. But first, it is time for your
Mr. Unlimited
moment of the week. And that is that Russell Wilson finally does have more touchdowns than he has bathrooms in his house. He has 13 touchdowns and 12 bathrooms in his house. So he got one last week, which finally put him above the 12 bathroom mark in his house. His house actually has 4 bedrooms, 9-car garage, and 12 bathrooms. So that's a lot of bathrooms for a 4-bedroom house. I'm assuming it's because he has a bunch of like movie theater rooms and like a basketball court. So he probably has like a bathroom in each of those or something, but who knows? I guess you'd have to see the layout to really understand. Unfortunately, Scotty isn't here to tell everyone the good news, but we do have a story time. And this is specifically about Scotty winning his fantasy football championship in our league. It was a great run for him. I just want to say congratulations. I wish he was here in person for me to say it to him personally, but he had a great run. I think it was 5 out of the last 6 games he won, or maybe it was 6 out of 7. And then in the playoffs, he had the highest scoring in our entire league all 3 weeks. So it was just a fantastic run. Awesome playoff run, awesome run in general, and just a great year for him. It was fun to see because this wasn't my year, and it was fun to cheer for someone else, and I was cheering for Scotty. So congratulations on the fantasy football championship. Now, let's get into the main topic. This is not going to be a crazy long episode because it is just me, so I won't be talking too much about everything, but we are going to talk about matchups. And the first matchup is Kansas City versus Las Vegas. Kansas City gets the 1 seed if they win or if Buffalo loses. So they're definitely going to be trying because they're first. They don't know how Buffalo's going to do, so they want to get the 1 seed for sure. And no matter what happens, if Kansas City gets the 1 seed, then that means that Buffalo, if they meet them in the AFC Conference Championship, they're going to have a neutral site game. So it's because of the game that got canceled last week. So because the Bills are 1 game back on wins and they got the game canceled, they're doing this as a concession that if Kansas City gets the 1 seed, then the Bills KC game, if it happens to be in the conference championship, it will be a neutral site game. On top of KC needing to win though, Mahomes actually needs 430 yards to set the new NFL record. So I don't know if he'll be gunning for that. It's a little far off because, 430 is a lot of yards to get, so he might not be trying. But I also do think that the Raiders will be trying. They have Jared Stidham in, so they're definitely going to see how he is, especially against a good opponent. They want to test him out a little more because he did have a good week last week. So I'm excited for this game. I think it's going to be high scoring. I don't think it's going to be necessarily a great game. I do think Kansas City is going to win, but I do think it will be high scoring. I think they're both going to go out and just start slinging it around. So yeah, that's kind of exciting. But for playoff reasons, I think the most exciting game this whole week is Tennessee versus Jacksonville. Tennessee at Jacksonville. And that's because whoever wins is in. And I like Jacksonville a lot. I've been rooting for them because they have Doug Peterson. I like the comeback story. They're the underdogs. However, Scotty does have a bet for Tennessee that he needs Tennessee to win because then they win a division. So I will be rooting for them as well. So it's kind of like a toss-up for me. Like, whoever wins, I'm happy because either Tennessee wins and Scotty wins a bunch of money, or Jacksonville wins. And then I'm happy because they made the playoffs. So I'm excited. I think that's going to be a good game, especially Saturday night, prime time. And there are some incentives in this game. So just wanted to go through those because these actually could matter because Christian Kirk gets $500,000 with 2 more catches and also another $500,000 for 91 more yards. So if he does get those 2 stat lines, he's going to have a good game. And he's probably going to be playing, for those incentives. I'm sure these players know about it. Obviously, he wants to win first most, but 2 more catches is definitely pretty easy to get. So I think he's going to hit that one. But then the 91 yards, that's a little bit high on his spectrum. But that said, I think he could definitely get there. So that's one. And the other one is Zay Jones, who needs 2 catches for $250K and 98 yards for $500K. So essentially the same thing. It's pretty crazy. They have had very similar seasons to what they were kind of expected, I guess. And yeah, they've both done great this year. I think he definitely could get both of those incentives as well. So very exciting, especially if you are playing fantasy or daily fantasy. I think both of those players are ones I'm looking for, especially Zay Jones. He's been having those boomer bust games, so this could be a really boom game, especially against Tennessee. Very exciting. I'm obviously playing all Jacksonville Jaguars. I think Trevor Lawrence and Evan Ingram are great options. And then for Tennessee, I'm kind of only playing Derrick Henry. I also am a little worried because if Jacksonville does get up, they might be throwing it. So I'm a little worried, but definitely starting all the Jacksonville Jaguars because they're going to be playing. And that's the key thing this week. You want to play people that are going to be trying. Next game is on Sunday. This is the first 10 a.m. game on my slate, at least, and that is New England at Buffalo. So if KC loses, I mentioned Buffalo can get the 1 seed if they win. Again, it's really only for seeding, I believe, because if Buffalo wins, they played 1 less game, so it kind of isn't fully fair, I guess. I'm not sure exactly how it works. I think if Buffalo wins this and KC loses, they still do have to do the neutral site game. But I think if KC wins and Buffalo loses, then it wouldn't be neutral site. So I'm not positive. If they both win, then it's a neutral site in the conference championship. We'll kind of see as that unplays. I'm just kind of along for the ride. I'm sure if you are a fan in those areas trying to go to the games, it matters. But I think either way, it's going to be exciting. I think a neutral site game for the conference championship would be very exciting, again, especially because it's these 2 teams. That said, though, not only is Buffalo trying to win, New England also clinches a wild card with a win. So they obviously need to win too. I don't necessarily think New England will win. But yeah, who knows? You never really know in the NFL. Could be anything, especially with everything that's been going on. Buffalo still has a lot on their mind, and rightfully so. I think their minds should be on DeMar Hamlin right now. So if they do come out a little rusty or slow, that's a very reasonable expectation. I still think they're going to win, though. If you have players or if you're doing daily, I think Buffalo, you got to start all your studs. You got to start Diggs. You got to start Allen. I don't know, maybe Singletary, I guess. I don't really know if he's considered a stud. But on New England's side, Ramondre Stevenson has not been great. So you may want to go away from him. And that's the thing. Like, their wide receivers, you can kind of start them, but not really. So I personally probably am not starting them this week. I'm probably not starting most of the people on New England. Maybe Hunter Henry. Again, all these players are maybes. So, yeah, it's kind of up to your lineup. If it's daily, up to the budget. But, yeah, overall, I'm starting essentially all of Buffalo and probably none of New England if you can. Next game is Baltimore at Cincinnati. Cincinnati gets home field advantage against Baltimore if they win. Because of Cincinnati not playing last week, they couldn't officially clinch. They have clinched the division, but since they didn't play the game, and if they had lost, then they could have still lost to Baltimore and lost the division. So essentially what's happening is if Baltimore and Cincinnati play in the wild card round of the playoffs, they end up flipping a coin to see who gets home field advantage. So if Cincinnati wins, they don't do that because then they would be 1.5 games up, and then the last week would not have mattered. So it's only if Baltimore wins, then they can flip the coin to determine who gets home field. So they are playing for something here. Baltimore is playing to get the chance at home field advantage if they flip the coin and win it. And Cincinnati is playing because if they just win the game, they don't even have to worry about that. So it's essentially playing for half of a chance at home field advantage. So it's kind of a weird situation. But they're both playing. This game is probably going to be low scoring, though. I think Cincinnati definitely does have a chance to score a ton, but Baltimore's defense is pretty good, and their offense has not been doing great recently. Obviously, Lamar Jackson being out was the main reason for all of that, but still definitely not an exciting offense right now, and overall I think it's going to be low scoring. I do think Cincinnati wins this game, but overall, yeah, nothing fantasy-wise I'm loving besides the Bengals receivers and Joe Burrow. Even Joe Mixon has not been great, so I think you do have to start him if you have him. But in daily, I'm definitely staying away from Joe Mixon right now. On the Baltimore side of things, I don't even know if I want to play Mark Andrews. If you have Mark Andrews, you're probably stuck with him. If you are doing daily, though, definitely staying away from Mark Andrews. So yeah, not really anything I'm loving on Baltimore side besides Justin Tucker, of course. So the next game is Chicago versus Minnesota. This one is interesting because Minnesota goes up in seeding if they win and if San Francisco loses. So since San Francisco plays later, they kind of are just going to play and try to win. Don't see why not. It is a rivalry. They're going to be playing. Justin Jefferson needs 194 yards to break the record too, so they're definitely going to try to get that. I don't know if they'll be able to. I mean, that's a lot of yards, but yeah, if they are winning, dominating this game, then they might rest him, or they might not rest him. You never know. I mean, it really depends how much they want to get the record. I don't really know how much it matters, especially if the seeding and going to the playoffs really matters. So I don't know what they're going to do. That said, Chicago can actually get the number 1 pick overall in the draft if they lose and Houston wins. That's all they need. And I mean, Houston's playing Indianapolis. Like, that's very, very reasonable. Like, that's not a hard ask to beat Indianapolis right now. So yeah, I think that's possible. Chicago could actually get the number 1 overall pick, which is insane because they do not look like the worst team in the NFL. I'll just say that. It's just that the schedules and how they've kind of turned out. Like, they've had, I don't know, they haven't had the toughest schedule, but they haven't had the easiest schedule. And I mean, yes, they're not a good team, but I think Houston and Indianapolis are way worse teams. So if Chicago can get that number 1 pick, they don't need a quarterback. They can start trading back in the draft, and they can get a lot of value for the future. And if you're a Bears fan, that's really exciting. So, knowing how Chicago and how these things go, Chicago could just win the game and just ruin that right up front. But it is kind of exciting to kind of root for that. So yeah, that's a scenario we have. The next game though is Cleveland at Pittsburgh. And Cleveland obviously is out. They don't really have anything to gain by winning or losing, so they're just kind of seeing how Watson does. I'm not sure how they're going to play the starters. I'm kind of staying away from them. That said, Pittsburgh clinches if they win and New England and Miami lose. So, I mean, this is a crazy scenario. If if New England does beat Buffalo, none of this matters. And Miami is playing the Jets. So, it's a very interesting scenario. I'm sure the Jets are going to want to try to beat Miami. And I think there's a real chance that Pittsburgh can make the playoffs right here. And it's all they have to do is beat Cleveland. It's a very, very interesting situation. Obviously, Tomlin's historic coaching streak of having no losing seasons is on the line. And if they just beat Cleveland and they're playing at home, they keep that streak alive, and that's just insane. Even in a year with a rookie quarterback with injuries, this is just insane. Tomlin is just such a good coach. I don't even like Pittsburgh, but I respect Tomlin, and I think he's one of the best coach, if not the best coach in the NFL. He's one of the best coaches. So, yeah, really just respect him, and that's kind of the only reason I even like Pittsburgh at all. That said, I like them as the underdog. I don't want them to be a favorite because it's annoying when they're favorites. But yeah, overall, very exciting. We'll see how that game goes. Again, though, I'm probably not starting anyone on Cleveland. I mean, Chubb you kind of have to start him if you have him, but in daily, I'm not touching him. And then for Pittsburgh, I guess you're playing George Pickens, maybe Pat Freiermuth, but... And Najee Harris, of course. But yeah, I don't know. I'm in daily. I'm not really touching this game. I don't think it's going to be super high scoring. Maybe the kickers, if you're doing like a showdown matchup, you could kind of target the kickers. I mean, I would target just Pittsburgh's kicker. I would just target Boswell. I don't know if I would probably stay away from all Cleveland. That said, though, that's kind of what I think will happen. The next game is New York Jets at Miami. And I was talking about this earlier. Miami clinches if they win and New England loses. So they're kind of second in the pecking order. It's New England, Miami, and then Pittsburgh. So I personally, I talked about this earlier. I think New England will lose. So then this opens the door for Miami. It is in Miami, but they don't have a quarterback right now. So this is just a weird week. I don't even know what's going on. It's just kind of one of those games where it just feels like the Jets are going to somehow win. And the Jets are eliminated, so they aren't really playing for anything, but it's a division rival, and they're going to want to win. They are playing Joe Flacco, I believe, and Joe Flacco airs it out. They're going to throw a lot. I would probably start Garrett Wilson and even look to him in fantasy. I mean, we saw him break out, I think, in week 3 or whatnot, or whatever it was with Joe Flacco. I mean, that was a crazy game. I think it was against Miami, where it just went back and forth, and that was the crazy ending of the game. So, yeah, overall, I think this will be a weird game. I don't think it will be high scoring, but I still would start Garrett Wilson, maybe Tyler Conklin. On the Miami side of things, I feel like you have to start Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Definitely Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle is like, I don't know. He's a flip of a coin, because you don't know how he's going to perform with a different QB. But that said, that's who I'm starting. I do think that the Jets will win. I mentioned that earlier. It just feels like one of those games. And that opens the door for Pittsburgh. So we'll see. Who knows what's going to happen? This is going to be a weird week. Next game is Tampa Bay at Atlanta. Tampa Bay does not need to win. They already clinched. So, yeah, overall, they're not going to be playing starters probably that long. I would stay away from everyone on Tampa Bay in fantasy. For Atlanta, they don't need to win. There's no reason to. They're not really gunning for a top spot, but I feel like they're going to try to win for some reason. Tyler Algier, it's a possible start. The issue, obviously, is Tampa Bay's run defense has been good, but then again, how long are they going to play the starters on defense? So, overall, I'm just not too excited about anyone in this game. I'm sticking away from it overall. But Tyler Algier is an option if you are in desperation and for some reason playing in fantasy, obviously. I forgot to mention that earlier. Obviously, most fantasy championships are over by now, but if for some reason you are still in a Week 18 fantasy championship, that's kind of why I'm bringing them up, just in case. The next game is Carolina at New Orleans. New Orleans has no first round pick, so I think they'll try just because, I don't know, they love sticking it to the Eagles, I guess, especially that last week was so brutal. But yeah, that's essentially what is happening. They are probably going to try, but I don't think Carolina will try. So yeah, it's a really tough game to say. I'm not excited to play anyone, especially in daily. Alvin Kamara, I'm not excited to because since they don't really need to, they might just rest them near the end of the game. So yeah, I'm sticking away from this game. Rashid Shaheed, I might play. Maybe Chris Olave. Just hope he gets in the end zone. And obviously Kamara, you have to play Kamara. So that's kind of all you have to do. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Now, the exciting game of the day, and that is Houston at Indianapolis. So Houston gets the number 1 overall pick if they lose. However, I want some chaos. I think it would be funny if they win at Indianapolis, if they win, and then Chicago gets the number 1 overall pick. I don't think that will happen, though. So I think Houston is, I don't know. I think it's a chance that Houston wins, but I do think Indianapolis will be trying for Jeff Saturday because Jeff Saturday has, I don't know, he just has this want to try hard no matter what mentality. That said, they have not been doing good at all. I think they've lost 6 in a row. I think me and Scotty made like a prediction of how many games Jeff Saturday would win. I predicted 0, he predicted 2. And he won the first week, and I thought the bet was like, oh, well, he's definitely going to win another one, right? Well, this is his only other chance, I think, because I think he's lost every other game since. So it's very interesting. I think Indianapolis probably wins this game, but I think it would be hilarious if Houston wins somehow. So that's kind of what I'm rooting for. Overall, though, probably not playing any fantasy players. Actually, that's not true. I probably would play Zach Moss, because I do think, like I said earlier, Indianapolis is going to be trying. And Zach Moss has been getting so many carries, and Houston's run defense is terrible. So I actually might play Zach Moss, even in daily. So yeah, I mean, that's a really disgusting play. You got to really sweat with him in your lineup, but I think that's an option. The next game is one that I do not want to talk about over fear of jinxing, but I will talk about it, and that is the New York Giants at Philadelphia. So Philadelphia will get the 1 seed if they win, and New York Giants is stuck at the 6 seed. So the Giants are probably going to be resting starters, and that is the only reason I feel comfortable talking about this, because if the Eagles lose to the Giants when the Giants are playing their backups, they don't deserve the 1 seed, and I just have to live with that. It's going to suck, but I mean, there's no way they should lose this game. If Jalen Hurts plays, you're playing Jalen Hurts. Obviously, you'd prefer Jalen Hurts to play for Smith and A.J. Brown, but that said, Minshew does get a ton of yards, so I mean, you could possibly start Minshew because it is backups, but I would prefer just to play the wide receivers. You're going to play the receivers no matter what. Dallas Goedert, you probably can play as well. And then I would say Philadelphia defense, if you do have defense in your league or in your daily, definitely a good play. Now, there is one catch to the New York Giants because Kenny Golladay, he does get an incentive of $750K. And all he needs to do is catch 76 more catches. Yeah, that's correct. He needs 76 more catches because he only got 4 catches in the entire year. So yeah. Anyway, I think that will be hopefully an easy win for the Eagles. I do not want to be sweating that one because I will be devastated. So yeah, I'll move on quickly before I jinx it. Now, we do have another game that does matter to the Eagles, and that is Dallas at Washington. Dallas will get the division win if Philadelphia loses and they win. They also would get the 1 seed if San Francisco loses. So if Dallas wins and the Eagles and San Francisco lose, then they get the 1 seed. I think that is very unlikely because San Francisco has been so good. New York Giants are not playing anyone, so I think it's very unlikely either of those situations happen, but they'll still be trying to win, especially because they're playing Washington, who is playing Sam Hoffman. I don't even know. It's Sam Howell. There we go. Close. I almost got it. Sam Howell, who is a rookie QB in his first start against Dallas. And yes, they are in Washington, but I think this is a brutal game. I don't see how Dallas doesn't destroy them. I'm worried about playing anyone in Washington. The 2 running backs, Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson, are out. I don't know how long Terry McLaurin will play because they have nothing to play for. Obviously, they probably want to beat Dallas, but they have so many they have a rookie QB, a rookie running back. I don't even know if Terry McLaurin's going to finish the game. So I'm staying away from everyone, including Terry McLaurin. That said, on Dallas, I would probably play almost all their players if you have them on your fantasy team. I mean, obviously Zeke is a little scary sometimes, but I think you got to play him. So yeah, I'm playing everyone on Dallas. Next game is Arizona at San Francisco. So they did do a good job of scheduling. They have those 3 games that kind of all imply to each other playing at the same time. So they're going to have at least Dallas and San Francisco playing for at least the first half is my guess. And probably 3 quarters just to be safe. Because if the Eagles are destroying them, you probably wouldn't know until the 3rd quarter how bad they're destroying them by. So San Francisco gets the 1 seed. If they win and Philadelphia lose, they hold the 2 seed if Minnesota loses or if they win. So Minnesota plays Chicago earlier. They should win the game. So I don't think that will matter. I think they'll just want to win anyway. So I think San Francisco will be playing this whole game. That said, there are rumors that Christian McCaffrey is out and they're going to actually have Elijah Mitchell back. So that's the expected starting running back. And I would play him in a lot of situations, in daily fantasy, in essentially anything. Also, Jordan Mason is exciting. I don't think he'll get the bulk load. If Elijah Mitchell does not play as much, obviously, he'll get more carries. But I don't think that will happen. I think Elijah Mitchell is going to be ready to go. So I'm definitely playing Elijah Mitchell. If you have him in daily, I'm playing him. Jordan Mason, I'm probably not playing just because I don't think he'll get enough carries where it will matter. But he is a stash in Dynasty. He's probably already rostered because he is a rookie. I think I have him in my Dynasty league, but overall, I'm kind of just stashing him. I'm not playing him this week. So that's kind of the scenario for that game. Arizona, obviously, I don't think they're going to play their starters all game. I don't even know if DeAndre Hopkins will be out there that much, if at all. So, yeah, that's kind of the scenario. San Francisco should just destroy them. And then the Minnesota game won't really matter. I mean, Minnesota's still probably going to try to play, but it doesn't really matter unless San Francisco loses. So that's all the scenarios in that game. The next game is the Rams at Seattle. Seattle clinches the wild card with a win, and if Green Bay loses. So they can't make the playoffs unless Green Bay loses, but that's a later game, so Seattle's obviously going to try. And the way Detroit's been playing, they could beat Green Bay, and I would love to see that so much. That said, I do hope Seattle loses to the Rams, and since the Rams have no picks, they have no first, second. They might have a 3rd round pick, but they're definitely going to try because it doesn't matter to them, and they want to beat their rival and knock them out of the playoffs. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for because I really want Detroit to be able to make it. And if Seattle wins, Detroit is knocked out of the playoffs, and that would be devastating. I really, really want Detroit to have a chance. However, if Seattle does somehow win, I'm rooting for them to make the playoffs because I want Detroit to beat Green Bay still. So essentially, I want either Seattle or Detroit to make the playoffs. But obviously, the Rams are not going to give up. They're going to be trying. And Baker Mayfield, Cam Akers, I mentioned this last week, they're fighting for a contract next year. So, yeah, that's kind of it. That's what they're going for. They're gunning for that upset. They want the contracts. I think they're going to have a legit chance in this game. Obviously, Seattle sucks against tight ends, and Tyler Higbee needs 13 more yards for 500K. Now, 13 more yards isn't a lot. He should get that, but I do think he has a chance for a big game. I think he's a actual decent start. On the Seattle side of things, you're starting wide receivers. You're probably starting Geno Smith. I think he's a good play. Even in daily, you can probably play him because they are one of the teams that are trying to win. So, yeah, this is exciting. I may probably a running back, Kenneth Walker, if he is healthy. But, yeah, we'll see. I think that's one of those situations where you're kind of just playing any studs you have, and in daily, you're possibly just looking for Metcalf or Lockett, but I don't think it will be a super high scoring game, so it may be one of those ones where you want to stick away for daily. But at the same time, if you're doing a tournament, it could be good for that high upside play, because who knows? You never know if Metcalf just gets an 80-yard touchdown. So that's a possibility, someone to possibly think about picking up. On the Rams side, though, I'm excited about Akers. I'm excited about Mayfield. That said, I'm not probably playing Mayfield unless you're desperate in a 2QB league. Or just if for some reason your platform has Baker Mayfield super duper cheap, like minimum pricing, then I would possibly think about starting him. But I think it's really just Akers for me that I'm playing. Now, the next game is one that could not matter at all, and that's LA Chargers at Denver. So the Chargers don't really have anything to gain unless Baltimore wins. So Baltimore has to beat Cincinnati, and then the Chargers need to win or they drop seeding. That said, Vegas has Denver, I think, -3. Denver is favorites right now because they don't have any picks, so they're going to try. They're trying to work out some kinks with Russell Wilson. And yeah, just overall, I think Denver is going to play. Chargers are rumored to be starting backups. So the Chargers are not going to be trying. The only time they would try is if Baltimore wins, but I think Vegas is thinking that's unlikely. They're thinking that Cincinnati will win the game. So Gerald Everett needs 5 catches for 250K. That is a possibility. I don't know if they're going to try to get it, though, because I don't know. They might not even be playing. 5 catches is kind of on that borderline. That's a decent amount. They are definitely aware of these incentives, though. So, I don't know. They could be trying to get that. DeAndre Carter only needs 2 catches, though, for 250K. I think they are going to try to get that for DeAndre Carter. It's not a lot. And since he's not like a key starter, I don't see why they're not going to try to get it to him. Especially the player, they've actually spoken about the incentive and they've spoken about being aware of it. The coach, I think, mentioned that he was aware of the incentive too. So I think they're going to try to get it to him. Now, though, we have the most exciting game for me, I think, because it's Detroit at Green Bay, and I want Detroit to win this game. Obviously, if Seattle wins, then this will not be as exciting for me. But if somehow the Rams can beat the Seahawks, I will be so excited for this game. Green Bay obviously clinch the wild card with a win. They are on the top of the totem pole. It's Green Bay, Seattle, and then Detroit. However, Detroit will clinch the wild card with a Seattle loss, and if they win. So, I mean, that's exciting for me. I still think, though, if Seattle loses, Detroit's going to try because they really want to destroy Green Bay, knock them out of the playoffs. And on top of that, the way they're coached, the way the organization's run, they're not a team to give up. They have grit. They do want to win no matter what. And winning against freaking Green Bay would be huge, a huge rivalry win. The players have talked about it. They hate Green Bay so much. They constantly get talked down to by Green Bay. Green Bay doesn't even think they're worthy as an opponent. So Detroit's going to be trying their heart out this game, and I'm excited for it. I really hope Detroit wins this game. So for some incentives, Khalif Raymond needs 7 catches for 125K and 50 yards for 125K. So I think he could get the yards at least. I don't know if he'll get the catches. That's up in the air. It could be close. If he has like 6 catches, they might try to get it to him. That's an interesting play though. I'm probably not going in that direction. I think that's a little too far away for him, and they're going to be trying to win no matter what. So I think they're going to mainly just be trying to win with, I don't know, now that DJ Chark's back, Jameson Williams, I think they're just going to kind of try to throw it. Jamal Williams needs only 6 yards though for 500K, and they are 100% going to try to get that to him. I cannot see that not happening. I mean, Dan Campbell loves Jamal Williams. He like absolutely loves him, and it's a rivalry game. He used to play for Green Bay. There's no way that Jamal Williams does not have 6 yards, and I think he's going to have a good game. I'm actually considering playing him in daily fantasy because of everything going on. I think that's not the worst play. I mean, 6 yards, what is that going to be, like 3 touchdowns for him? So yeah. Anyway, for fantasy-wise, on the Detroit side, I'm playing everyone, essentially. Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Chark, probably not Jameson Williams, actually. But Jared Goff, I'm probably considering playing. And then I mentioned earlier, Jamal Williams, I'm considering playing. Also, I think it was Mike Wright or something Wright. I don't know, something Wright. He was a tight end last week. He got like 3 touchdowns. That's an interesting option for daily, especially in a tournament. There's probably going to be more people gunning for him though because of how he did last week, but I don't think it's a bad choice, especially if he does seem like a touchdown magnet. So I'm probably not playing him, but that is an option. Now for the Green Bay side of things, obviously you have to consider Rodgers. I don't think that's a bad play. All the wide receivers you can consider playing. Running backs, you have to play. They've been really good all season. So overall, you're kind of playing all your Green Bay players that you have at this point. And in daily, definitely considering the running backs. Probably, I don't know. I might stay away from the receivers. Watson is like possibly a good tournament play because he does have that upside. But yeah, that is all the games. So I guess now it is time for Ask Anissa, where I ask my wife Anissa a fantasy football question, and she knows nothing about football. So, Anissa, which team do you think will have nothing to play for by the time their game starts? Detroit, the LA Chargers, or Buffalo?
Detroit for sure.
Detroit? That's a good call.
Yeah,
good call.
Definitely.
So, because Scotty is out today, we will not be doing What's Your Prop? So I'm just going to move on to the end of the episode. I appreciate you all for listening. This has been a very short episode, but yeah, I've enjoyed it. I hope that Scotty feels better next week and can join us. But now it is time for your strong opinion of the day. And that is that there should be a financial incentive for players who play Week 18.